Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Talk Show by Quadrant Knowledge Solution. So, today we are going to discuss a very important topic. What is business process orchestration? So, Apurva, we all know that processes are the foundation of any organization. Since they lay the groundwork for how businesses go about its operations from customer service to everything that falls in between. So, I think my first question to you would be what exactly is business process orchestration and what is the significance of the same?
I'm glad we are touching upon this topic, Saranya. So, again, let us try to understand some very basic points, right? So, when you talk about business process orchestration, obviously, we realize that we are talking about processes. In a real world scenario, if you see very closely, let's take a common example of, say, a customer wanting to file for their insurance claim, right? This commonality of the example will keep through the entire discussion right now, right? So do you think this process is actually a very static process? It's a very straightforward process, a yes or a no answer? Not
No.
really, right? It obviously involves a lot of people, processes, systems, and even automations going back and forth and taking decisions real time, right? Now these decisions are not only taken in a binary 1 or 0 format. A lot of cognitive or cognition or instincts go behind those decision makings, right? And that is where business process orchestration actually comes into the picture. Now, to answer your question, what does business process orchestration mean? I believe it's an amalgamation, a study, or a unified approach towards people's processes, systems, and whatever conjunctures that are involved within a business case scenario, right? So, all of these together, formulated with automated processes, will give you something called as a business process orchestration, right? So, what is really required in all of these is to identify all these workflows or processes, to understand how these are connected with each other, and to apply precise process automation platforms on top of that, so that unified and real-time automations are applied to all of these processes, right? As I mentioned earlier, let's take an example of an underwriting process, right? So in an underwriting process, or if an insurance claims process has to be considered, it obviously means that the customer will approach the insurer. The claim would be put forward. Then there would be something like assigning the risk to the underwriter, assessing those risks, delivering the quote back to the customer. So, in all of this, a 360-degree view of the quote management workflow is really required. And eliminating manual data entry through automation tools, making use of tools like RPA, IDP, artificial intelligence, and whatnot. All of these constitute together as business process orchestration, to say in a nutshell. Yeah, that's
Right.
it from my side.
So, Apurva, you mentioned the significance very well. So, could you share what are the important steps, for a successful implementation of process automation and orchestration?
So we need to understand that within process orchestration, one of the key things definitely is automation, and automation being applied at the right time, taking into factor the other elements that we previously discussed, right? So one of the key things here to understand is that the people or the organizations who want to apply BPO or business process orchestration should start by measuring the as is processes. What it means that a nuanced and a very detailed understanding of the processes in terms of process mining, process discovery, process mapping needs to be taken into consideration, because without analyzing and assessing the process, identifying where the processes are acting, and identifying what the need of the process is, implementers of BPO cannot move ahead, right? So to get a clear picture of what's going on within the processes, obviously, as I mentioned, process mining capability is extremely important. What it can do is it can basically initiate automated root cause analysis and identify the bottlenecks, identify the inefficiencies that are involved, and that way a smooth running of the processes could be made possible. That is point number one, which also obviously helps in identifying the key performing indicators for keeping the processes going. The second point here is prioritizing a very detailed data architecture. Now, what that means is really a process automation platform would ideally have a built-in data fabric or a data architecture kind of a thing. A data fabric, basically what it does is it takes and amalgamates data from multiple touch points. It could be people, processes, uh, or the interaction between them, and identify exactly what is the prioritization of that data, right? So a 360-degree view of your organization from the point of view of the data would be enabled here. Again, a detailed stress on the rightful use of automation tools at the precise time is also very important. So instead of thinking about applying, what happens is when organizations start using automation, the first thing that they do is they feel that, okay, when a customer approaches the bank or the insurer for insurance claim, let us know the entire history about that customer. And the moment that happens, they feel that this entire process should be automated. What they don't understand is that this isolated, or applying automation to this isolated process can be a real task because the context is lost, right? So applying automation to individual processes without knowing the context, it's a very hard thing to do. And hence, a go-to approach for organizations would try to implement something like a hyper automation concept, wherein comes the picture of something like a process automation platform. So if an end-to-end process automation platform is actually provided in the context of workflow orchestration, what would happen is complex end-to-end process automation could be enabled through the implementation of native automation capabilities like IDP, RPA, and business rules, ultimately letting employees cut down on the repetitive tasks, and the goal of automation could be resolved, right? Lastly, I think it's more of a mindset thing for implementation of business process orchestration. When you talk about business process orchestration, as I mentioned, simply applying automation won't do, but the context in which people, processes, systems they come into picture, it's very important. So, basically, a total and holistic experience and resolving for that issue is the need of the hour, and that is where business process orchestration comes into picture. So the possibilities of total experiences are, I think, endless, and the best automation platforms, if they are applied in the context of people, processes, and systems, a right mindset of business process orchestration could be implemented. So that's it from my side, I think, Saranya.
Thank you so much, Apurva, for sharing your insights. Stay tuned for more such videos.